Is this thing working? Might be a little delay here. Okay. Chat seems like it's up. Okay, I think I'm starting to see some people come in. I don't know why the stream health starts off so terrible. Does everybody hear me okay? Okay, still stream health is still red. I think it's got to be working though. Has anybody seen the stream? Excuse me. Okay. No response in the chat yet. I don't know if there's... I see a few people in here, but I'm not sure if the chat's working on my end. Stream health is still low. This might just take some time. Been noticing that. Anybody verify that this is working? Ed Music, hello. Okay, so the chat's working. I hope it's not too late. I'm trying to figure out a good time to do this. Kind of testing out a new webcam here too. Nothing great, just kind of a cheap webcam. Okay. What's going on tonight? Anything good? It's kind of starting off a little slow here. Bruins and Red Sox. Yep. To be honest, I haven't been following it all that much. I've been so busy. I know. Hello. Was it a Jezel? Brazil. Wow. What time is it in Brazil right now? Five, 3 Yankees, 6th inning. Everybody having a good weekend so far? I've been busy all day. Just trying to get the yard cleaned up. It's just been a nightmare. It's been so rainy here. It's rained for almost like a month straight. It's been kind of nasty weather. Upstate New York. I bet you're happy to hear about the Yankees that Nate said. Was it 5-3 Yankees? 6th inning. Still anybody's game. What to do for repair today? Well, it's almost 10 o'clock here. I'm not repairing anything. I'm kind of just testing out new setups. I have I bought a cheap webcam for the monitor here, so I've been changing my camera array a little bit, and hopefully going to be shooting some different angles in my videos coming up, so hopefully it looks better. It's been kind of bugging me for a while to change things, so decided to do something about it. But I don't know if I'm digging this webcam yet. It was a cheapo. Still 1080p, but I don't know if I like it yet. Every once in a while I'll see a digital disruption in the video. I don't know if that's something on my end or not, but it is a cheapo camera. Not bad. Not bad. That's just a lot of going to the doctors and whatnot. I have some eye issues I've been dealing with. So that's kind of why I've been having some issues doing some videos, because my vision's always changing and sometimes not always for the best. It's been quite challenging. Let's see here, what is going on with this stream? Yeah, things improve, and then I think it's doing good, and then it changes. It's weird. It's it's random. One day I can wake up and not be able to focus on anything at all. It's just blurry, and it's like that for like weeks. Then I get put on like a steroid drop medication, and then I have to take a pressure lowering drop because the steroid increases pressure. So, and then now that's concerning. So it's always a battle. So sometimes I like to do repairs, but even if I look through my microscope, I'm still looking at a blurry image. But if it wasn't for this microscope, I don't think I could do half the stuff that thing's been a big help. It makes everything that looks like an ant, this big. So it definitely improves what you're working on, especially the Snoose SMD stuff. I can just see the parts on the board, but that's about it. It's I can't read any numbers on it. I can just see a general shape and a color. Check resolution. Okay. Well, thanks, Ed. That was the point of making these videos. That was the whole intent to begin with. I'd never started this YouTube channel to try and scare up work. It was never that. I always wanted to just repair stuff, and I thought one day, I might as well film it. Might help someone. And then now it's just I get emails and emails. Can you fix this? Can you fix that? And it's like, I don't have the time a lot, but what's up, Joe? But amplifiers, once you start fixing a few of them, they get easier. They kind of get repetitive after a while. You start seeing the same failures, even though they're different. It's always typically they fail in the same fashion for the most part. Fixing amplifiers is fun. That's a nice place to start. It's not rocket science. It's unless it's easier to start there, fixing Class A, B amplifiers. If you do start doing Class C, it gets a little bit more complex, but still doable. The Alpine amp repairs. Yeah, the Alpines. I love doing the Alpines. They didn't really reinvent the wheel on that MRV line back in, I don't know what, late 90s, early 2000s. Almost all their models were very similar, and parts were all similar, and they all failed in a similar fashion. So it's real easy to go through those amplifiers. Well, I mean, if you've been doing a few of them. I mean, if you just open one up for the first time, it can be a little overwhelming. But at least the service manuals are out there for a lot of them. That's the whole thing, too, is, I don't have a magic repository of service manuals. I go out there like you guys do, just Google it, and if I find it, I find it. If I don't, I'm screwed. Unless it's an easy enough repair, I can get around it. But if I have to chase down deep problems, or if I have components that have burnt beyond recognition, sometimes you're kind of screwed, but sometimes you're not. Sometimes you'll see repetitive circuits on the MOSFETs or like gate resistors and stuff. They're all going to be the same parts. So, excuse me, you can typically figure it out. I think a lot of them are failing because people just don't read the documentation. They just hook their woofers up, and they don't watch for the impedances that they're loading their amplifiers with. They're just throwing two speakers onto a bridged channel and turning it on, and they hear music, so they just think it's perfectly fine, but they're not watching for the amplifier specifications, and I think that's what a lot of the issue is. That and driving them into saturation and clipping is a huge problem. And typically, if you have a subwoofer amplifier and it's buried in the trunk and your whole car is rattling and you're not hearing the clipping as you would think you would. You might hear the speaker fart every once in a while, but you're probably clipping well before that. Yeah, it's tough. Sometimes just putting poor grounds of the amplifier, that can wreak havoc too, or a real small power line, that can create some issues. The amp's starving for power. It'll just drive itself into a fiery mess. 2 MRP 2000s, M2000s for 5 years. With SMD. I'm not familiar with that model, MRP M2000. Is that Alpine? And that's the thing too, is on the older Alpines, it seemed like their protection circuits didn't work fast enough. They weren't very good at all, to be honest. I mean, these amps should shut down before they fail. They're just not doing that on some of those older amps. Their protection circuit's very basic. I think if it tripped out, it would be at least give somebody an indication that you might be overdriving it. But no, I've never heard anybody say, "Hey, I was running this amplifier and the protection light started blinking, so I just kept using it." I just never saw it with these amps. They always just failed, no warning. American Bass WFI 110.1. Never seen one of them. Did you figure it out yet? It's a cheapo. Dead voltage regs. Take anything else out, like MOSFETs or like Stant 1000, and that sounds old. sounds like real old. Well, that'd be nice if that's all that's wrong with is the voltage regulators. What's going on here? I'm trying to. Like I said earlier, I just got this new cheap webcam for this angle, and I just kind of moved my other cameras around, so I'm just trying to see if this is going to work out better for repairs. Let's see if this one. Trying to see if this might be a good angle for doing some demonstration and repair work. That seems like it's going to work okay. Maybe the focus could be a little better, but yeah, I just got a little bit of a boom here. That might be nice when I'm doing some work. I used to have the camera a little further back, but now I think this is going to be a little bit better for not, if I'm not doing microscope work. But yeah, so that might be something to do. I worked on a couple Alpines. Transformer errors. Shorting windings. I hate when transformers go bad. Worked for 10 minutes for 15 years ago. Spent $1,000 on it. Dude, why don't you just return it? Sounds like you were within the warranty period, unless you bought it off like eBay or something. Problem with Extant is there's no service information out there. There's like nothing. I don't think I've seen an Extant service manual. Are they even in business anymore? Is this gonna be a regular thing? Just testing the waters. I mean, I didn't come out to generate any revenue or anything on this. I'm just playing around, testing new angles, new cameras. I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing as far as just coming and hanging out. I know it doesn't seem to attract very many people, unless I probably have something going on. So I'm just testing the waters, see what's going to work or not. I don't know. I'd like to get some live repairs going. That's kind of why I've been moving the cameras around. Is it wasn't situated in an ideal spot for to actually see anything. And that's kind of was driving me crazy. Unless it was under the microscope or I was hand holding a camera, it was almost impossible to see what I was doing. And I don't want to keep going from my camera to the OBS setup back to a camera, because when it goes to post processing, it's just a nightmare. Now I'm dealing with two different cameras, and OBS is file output, and then it just turns it into a nightmare. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing yet. Let's see how it goes. Need to work on, but huge repair. Going to have to cut some sections out of the board. Yeah, I've been there. It's burnt up pretty bad, I'm assuming. You ever work on a car, electronics, or other than... You ever work on car electronics other than audio gear? I've done a few... let's see, what else? Car electronics? Like, you mean... What do you mean? Oh, I mean, I worked on car audio stuff. I mean, I fixed a few like circuit boards for like my windshield wiper motor. Just regular car troubleshooting stuff. Changing sensors and whatnot. Very cool repairs, chat. Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to do a repair on the bench. The only problem, like I've stated in excuse me, previous chats, is I may not always have the parts during the repair. It might be a 2-part live thing or 3, who knows, but it'd be nice to actually troubleshoot something live and and maybe actually get you guys to participate. I'm experimenting with. I'm thinking about experimenting with that. Is maybe have you guys try and find the problem. I'll just do the measurements. I don't know. Just a few ideas I've had. ABS modules? No, I've never worked on any of them. I've never worked on the electronics. I've worked on the mechanical parts of them. Those things can be quite complex. Plus, if I'm working on something like that, it will only be for my own vehicle, not for somebody else's. I'm not going to be liable for an ABS module failing. Nope, no thanks. It's kind of why I don't like working on a lot of car electronics, like, anything vital to the car stopping or going for someone. Vehicle cluster repairs, new thing. Yeah, cluster repairs. What, like LEDs, conversions, and backlights, whatnot. Stepper motors. That's not too bad. The only problem is testing it, because if you're doing that for someone over the internet, you don't have the car to test it in, so you don't know if anything you're repairing is going to work. I mean, you might be able to test the lamps and whatnot, but if you're doing like servos or stepper motors for the speedometer and tachometer and whatnot, if it's an analog type of look, might not be able to see if those work without the vehicle, unless you know how to hack the CAN bus. Well, that's good. I mean, hey, if it's working for you, you're repairing that kind of stuff, great. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You might be able to throw a CAN bus signal at it, but you have to find the right, depending on the model, you have to send the right ID and string to it, whatnot. But actually, it's funny that this is conversation, but I was actually kind of playing around with hacking my own CAN bus in my vehicle. I was going in through the OBD2 port. I had taken apart an old, let's go to this other camera here. Taken apart an old OBD2 interface, and I hacked onto the data lines for the serial and was communicating to it with my Arduino, and I was sending packets to the CAN bus, unlocking my car door, whatnot, rolling the windows down, kind of just tooling around, playing with things. It was quite interesting. It was a little bit of a trick to get it all to work, but still need a lot of time to invest into it to make it right. Yeah, Chevys. I love Chevys. That's all I typically have owned, so I know them fairly well. So I could probably concur with that. Sometimes you get lucky. You open up a cluster and you might just find a bad solder joint or something stupid wrong with it. Yeah, I don't mind working on Chevys. I don't typically ever take my car to the shop unless it's one beyond my tools that I have here to work to fix it, or two, if it's going to cost too much, I'll just do it myself. I don't really ever take my car to the shop unless it's something I just don't want to deal with. But I'll do brakes, brake lining. I'll do pretty much anything to the vehicle other than changing a motor or transmission, rear end stuff. I mean, anything other than the drivetrain, I'll pretty much work on. Doesn't bug me at all. As long as I have the right tools and the parts to do it. Hello, Bruce. Yeah, I had several Chevys that actually had some bad windshield wiper motor boards. I've had 3 Chevys that have had an issue with it, and it always was bad soldering on the circuit board. It just would stop, or it would do something wacky, or it was kind of dangerous. Because it's only going to fail when you need it. And when you need it, you're in the pouring rain and you can't see when you're driving and you're on a highway. It's kind of concerning. But, an easy fix. I had to just open up the motor and the circuit board pops out, and the problem is pretty obvious. Just some cracked solder joints. That stuff should, especially, that stuff should be either hand soldered or and conformal coated. It's not. You'd think it would be. It should be. Anything safety related. Even brake lines. It's why put steel brake lines in cars? How much is stainless steel? How much more is that going to add to the cost of the vehicle? I don't know. I've had 3 Chevys that like lost the brakes, the rotted brake lines. You know, and it's ridiculous. You know, you'd step on the brake and it's got like a dual reservoir, so you got the front and the back. But you know, once you punch the brake pedal down to the floor a few times, it pumps all that out, and then you still got no brakes in the front. It's like the system never worked right as intended. Yeah, lucky I haven't. I had one Chevy that had an ABS failure. That was my '91 Blazer, S10 Blazer. All of a sudden, I was driving it. All of a sudden, the ABS pump came on, and it ran and ran and ran. I was like, "What the hell's going on here?" It just ran, and then I think it just burnt itself out. That was it. Full manual brakes in the life of the vehicle after that. It was like ridiculous amount of money to replace the unit. No, we're just kind of shooting the breeze here, Bruce. I don't know. There's only a few of us in here. We were just talking. I mean, I'm just following the chat. Everybody wants to talk about something. We can talk about something. Nothing's planned. It's just we're just hanging out, testing out some of the cameras. I told the others that I just purchased a cheap webcam for the monitor to get a better angle of during a live stream. I've changed the way my cameras are here in the shop a little bit from different angles. So hopefully during some newer videos we'll have better shots. That's a lot of work fixing till broken. But I bet you it was pretty badass after that. Well, Bruce, like I always say, if I don't have service information or if it's something that I can't get parts for, I might not be able to do anything. See, here's the thing. It's like shipping is ridiculous. I mean, to ship that MRV 1507, it can cost up to like 40 to 50, maybe even $60 sometimes, depending on how you want it shipped. Both ways, it's almost like $100. And you know, people shipping this stuff, it's like it's just hard to justify sometimes with people. And then, you know, I can't do it for free. You know, I have to buy parts. I have to spend time on it. So it's like I'll sit there with people in my email, you know, and I'll get all the way to the point where, you know, I break down what it's going to cost, and then it's like, oh, so that seems too expensive. So it's like I go through all this work, and it's like, so if I don't have the service manual, I don't have the parts, and if you're not really truly want to fix something, you're just kind of just toying with the idea, and it's not worth it. Just wastes everybody's time. I regular function generator. Depends on how high it goes and what IF you're referring to. Like ham radio stuff, or I mean, I have my generator goes up to 50 megahertz, and with an attenuator I can inject a signal in there. You got to do a little bit of math, but it can be done. I have a step attenuator. I'll show you what it looks like. Sometimes if you shop around, you can get these fairly inexpensive off eBay, but they'll look like this. They're not. Let's see if I can unwrap this mess here. Come on. Basically, they'll have two SMA connectors on them. So you have an SMA connector on one, they're SMA on both sides, and then I'll have a PL259 on one side and BNC for the signal generator on the other. And you can use the step. You can step. It's basically like a resistor attenuator, and you can kind of get the signal down low enough so you're not overwhelming your front end. But you can do a little bit of math for, decibel math to kind of get you in the ballpark. I don't know if that's what you were referring to. I'm kind of hoping so. Well, there goes my tea. Got a 25 and a Rigol. Want to get into fixing old radios for fun. Yeah, you can do it. Just don't, like I said, you might need a step attenuator to do it, because even your lowest signal out of it might be too high, and you could risk burning it up. Watch this later. 3 a.m. Electronic projects, as in what, kits or just repairs? I'm not following you, Joe. Yeah, I guess I could. I could get some of those. I used to do a lot of kits. I've done a lot of them over the years. I have to start looking at them. I used to get a lot of Ramsey kits, but Ramsey, a few years back, they went out of business. So now, I mean, the Chinese market, they flooded the market on eBay and Amazon with kits. So I mean, you practically can get a kit for anything nowadays. Dummy loads, I use. See if I can find a couple of the smaller ones. Let's see here, I use. Basically, sometimes you can get away with 200 watt, 8 ohm resistors. That'll get you down to 4 ohms, and these work fairly well. You don't have to crank your amplifier up into distortion to test the amplifier. You just need something to load it up a little bit, and I typically will run it at about 30% power. And I got to mount these on a heat sink because these things get fairly hot. And I could get larger ones as well, but you don't have to beat them up to test them. You just need to load them up to the point where it's it just sees the correct load and give it a little bit of power. And I like to run it slow and steady instead of hard and long, because that could just damage it as well. But I also have two 12-inch subwoofers up there that I typically will use after the resistor test to really give it a good exercise. Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, no problem. Like I said, this has kind of just been hit or miss at the moment, but as soon as I get something, settled in, maybe if everybody puts notifications that, when I go live, you guys can pop in. But if I can get the time to actually schedule something, I mean, I have a hectic schedule, so it's hard to make a promise, like put out a video that's saying, hey, tonight I'm going to be live if you want, it'd be kind of really committing myself. So for now, it's just going to be, you'll probably just get a notification when I'm live at the moment. But, if I have an idea of a time, or if I have a project in mind, I don't know. We'll see. Bose sound systems, not typically. I mean, I think I've worked on a few Bose here and there, but I can't recall at the moment. Sources for schematics, the internet, Google. Sometimes you got to pay for them. It's the way it is. Or sometimes you can find them for free if you dig hard enough and you get a good enough virus protection software to scope around. Some of those sites are really sketchy. Yeah, the resistors are cheap. I mean, you can get these on Amazon for I don't know, probably under $10. I think for a set of four of them. I don't know. They're not expensive at all, and it's a cheap way to do it. You could get bigger resistors as well. The whole thing is just, now you have to find a way to dissipate heat from these. So it doesn't end there. If you just sit these on your bench, whatever is under it is going to melt. And they do get warm. So, a chunk of aluminum or something would be nice to just mount these on. I just haven't gone around to it. I have a heatsink. I just kind of sit them on top of it. I know it's not ideal, but it does work. Yeah, this software is nice. This camera here is, every once in a while you'll see a little flicker and it's driving me crazy. I spent short money on it. I think it was like $25. I should have just bought another C920, but they were like, they didn't make the C920 anymore, and now they have the C922X or something ridiculous, and they want $75 for it. Like, I know I can get the C920 off eBay for like $50, so I might return this camera and get a third C920 just for this. But yeah, I can switch the cameras, and with the OBS software, it does help the workflow when you're trying to do something either live or even just filming it. It makes it easier. OBD. Oh, OBD. I'm sorry. My mind is melted. I thought you said OBS. OBD. OBD2, you mean? Okay, let me go back here and reread some of this stuff. uh, yeah, the OBD2. I have been playing around, so I mean, I'm not an expert by any means. There's not much information out there on how to hack this stuff, and it's been tricky and kind of vehicle specific too. But I've made some success with my truck, but a lot of digging and research. And I'm not the best coder in the world either. I mean, I know how it all works. I mean, I can read code better than I can write it. That's one thing I need to polish up some stuff on is, writing the code for the microcontrollers. But I get by. Sometimes I'll take chunks of already written code and modify it, and I'm sure everybody does that. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people. Electronic loads. I got a DC load here. They're not good for testing amplifiers. They're just strictly a DC load for testing like batteries and whatnot. They don't make unless you get like a dyno kit or dyno setup specifically made for testing audio. And I don't think you're going to find one cheap. Maybe something home brewed you might, but CB radio repairs? It's been a long time. Not really. Not lately. I don't mind working on those either. It's just final outputs. Typically the MOSFET final outputs on those things are typically the first thing that goes. But no, I haven't, it'd be nice. I haven't been really talking, I haven't had much time to be on the radio all that much either, so not really sure. Wouldn't mind it though. Yeah, open broadcast, right. You said OBD, and I was like, didn't you mean OBS? So can't code to save my life. I mean, I can program ladder logic all day long. I mean, that's what I do at work. But, when you're actually doing structured text, it's a little bit different. I mean, I like I said, I understand a lot more than I can write. I find myself referencing the online reference for how the functions and things work. But one good thing is, since I know ladder logic, I know all the what do you call it, the list of, I got a little cheat sheet over here. But you get like all the data types and stuff. You got to know which what you can hold in the data types. What the type what you can use the data types for, how to structure everything. It just takes so much time. I mean, I understand a lot of it, but you painstakingly fumble your way through it. What does my shirt say? I void warranties? Yep. I'd rather take it apart than return it, depending on what it is. Sometimes it's not worth if it's something like $20, $30, sometimes it's not worth the trip to the store if I can just open it up and fix it. Yeah, I got a few funny shirts. I think I got this one at like Micro Center, like, I don't know, 5-7 years ago. I don't typically wear it out or anything. I just kind of just hang out here at the house with it. Or PHP in high school. Yeah, see, it's like I tried learning like HTTP and what do you call it, web design and stuff, and I was using what the hell's the name of it? Adobe's. Oh, it's getting late. I can't remember, but yeah, it just seemed like it was complicated, and now that you have kind of the website builder stuff makes your Dreamweaver exactly. I was playing with that for off and on for a few years, and it was like, and everybody started doing these on, the website started off, they started offering, I can't even think, it's not something I do all the time, so I can't remember, but they were offering packages that you can just go and design the web right on their website, so it just became like, oh, why am I screwing with Dreamweaver? Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's doing okay. Just been real busy. Had a real busy winter. I was flying around for work, so I'd be gone for like weeks at a time. Come back, go back out for a week, stay here for a week, go back out for a week. And that was the beginning of the year. That settled down a little bit, so. Oh, isn't that the truth, Robert? It's like, it's a never-ending battle here. As soon as I fix something, and then something else breaks. And then, as soon as I fix that, it's always something. It's always something. I think I think things are just getting a lot cheaper now. And I don't mean inexpensive purchasing it. I mean it's just getting like junk. I mean, they're making devices like fail on purpose after they're not designing it with the intention that you're going to be pressing a certain button like 800,000 times. Even though, the only way to use it is to use that button. Perl and Linux. Yeah, I was screwing around with some Linux for a while. Another thing, it's just like, I dabbled in so much, I can't possibly retain it all. It's, unless you're doing it every day, it goes in one ear, out the other. It's impossible to retain it. And it's like, I want to know everything, but you can't absorb it all. It's not enough lifetime. Sharp TV. LED, LCD? Or is it old fluorescent? Apple? What about Apple? I don't know. I don't work on Apple stuff, if that's what you mean. I to be honest with you, I hate Apple. I hate Apple's products. I don't like what their company. I don't like I don't like their whole thing. They're too walled garden type of hardware for me. I don't like that. I don't like the company telling me what I can and cannot do with my own hardware. It's like ridiculous. As soon as I bought one Apple device several years back. It was the iPod Touch. And as soon as it required me to put iTunes on it on my computer to put simple MP3s. I used to just be able to drag and drop MP3s onto a simple MP3 player. Now I have to use their software to convert it and verify its copyright and all that bullshit. Right in the garbage. Well, it didn't go in the garbage, but I think I sold it. Seems the power supply is okay. Flashes error LEDs on the front, but I can't find the info, what the codes mean. And that's always the hard part. Try and see if you can find a service manual. It might be in the service manual, but you probably got. I'm just guessing here because I don't know, but you might have some backlight issue shutting down. It might be a T-con board error. It might be a panel error. It could be bad caps, shorted diode somewhere. A backlight inverter not working correctly. Just watch when you turn it on. Are you getting a flicker from any backlight or anything? Or you might have to just start doing some testing. Hate Apple. There's some controlling. Yeah. If you're open-minded and like to expand, you're not an Apple user. I don't know. Maybe that's just the wrong way to state it, but I don't like anything that I can't modify or add. Like if I can't use their approved software from their approved software list or something, come on. I know it's less viruses and less room for attack, but I don't like being stuck in a walled garden. I don't want a prison for my hardware. If I want to screw it up, I want to screw it up. Yeah, I thought about making a few clock projects. Yeah, this is Apple. Oh my god. I mean, I'm sure they're a nightmare to deal with. I mean, I've heard horror stories. I mean, that's with any product or any, but I don't know. I like to pick on Apple because it's easy for me. Yeah, phones aren't cheap anymore. That's for sure. The days of the $300 cell phone. I mean, you can still get the, pay by the mile phones, but they're not all that great. But if you're looking to stay current, you're going to pay. Computer mobile repairs. Lots of people can fix that. What they bought. Computer motherboards. That's another one. It's like I've talked to other people about that. It's the BGA chips and stuff. And if something like that goes, unless you got the right equipment, it's hard to get into. And the boards are kind of a bastard to solder because they got the big ground planes. So trying to change caps in them are a nightmare. I don't know. I buy like Asus or something like motherboards with like $89 motherboards. It's like I'd rather myself. I'd just if I can't, just change the caps if it's something wrong. Like I got to reflow a chip or something. I probably would just buy a new motherboard. Computer amp go to 11. I can make anything go to 11. Yeah, like I was saying, yeah, computer motherboards are. It's hard, you know. I'm never gonna find a service manual, and the chips for them, you gotta search like, you know, back channels to find stuff, and you don't know if what you're getting is good. And if you want to see that stuff, yeah, there's another guy that fixes crapple stuff, so you can go check his channel out. Not my scene. Power comes on and shuts off. You can see voltage comes up, power on, supply shuts off. Obviously, you notice the problem shut. I don't know, man. You're gonna have to. It's hard to just say off the top of my head. It could be multiple things. You're gonna have to check power supply voltages, make sure you get standby voltages, whatnot. Could be as simple as a short somewhere, open somewhere. Russian guy who huffs flux. Who's that? Yeah, I'm not a big Rossman fan. Anyway, I think it's gone to his head a little too much. Electronic repair school. There used to be a guy on YouTube. Well, I think he's still there. He had a ton of like video arcade repair videos, and they were like good. I think they were arcade repair. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of his channel, but he like 6 or 7 years ago, he had like every video that he's ever done back in like the 80s and or like 90s, and they were like unbelievable content in them. It was like basic down to like the atom of like an electron, all the way to like fixing power supplies and on and CRTs on game arcades, and it was just awesome stuff. Old analog and digital circuits. The guy was good, but he ended up stripping like all his videos off his channel, and now he's only got like 4 or 5 on there. And I've emailed him saying like, why'd you take it off? I never heard anything back from him, but that'd be nice if he puts it back on. Russian kid name was Eli. I know I've been thinking about changing my channel name too, because when I first started this out, it was just a random name I came up with, and doesn't seem to fit the channel much. And I was trying to figure out if I changed it, would I lose subscribers, and how that all worked, and how it would like screw everybody's notifications up and whatnot. I'm not sure how that works. I hear that a lot from people. It's like people doing repairs are I try not to do it myself. I sometimes I catch myself doing it. It's like you're trying to show somebody a repair, but you're not really relaying across the information enough for somebody actually to do it. And it's a tough balance trying to figure out how to relay something. Sometimes I'm not speaking for the person that's repairing it. What was his name? Eli. You know, sometimes they just don't know what they're doing until they fix it. You know, they're kind of guessing it their way through, and sometimes you have to do that because you don't know what some of these old, you know, BGA chips that you're trying to reflow with a heat gun. You don't know if it's gonna work. You ever play with 3D printing? Yes, I have. I have 3 printers. If you check my channel, you'll probably see a few videos here and there on 3D printing. I want to start doing some more of that. You know, get some videos in with 3D printing and possibly integrate some electronics with 3D printing. I don't think there's too much of that on YouTube. I mean, there's some stuff, but they're always in like different languages or not, just people just doing not so, I don't know. There's just not much content out there, I think. I'd like to make a few projects, or I can even get some kits and make 3D cases for 3D printed cases or some form. Maybe design some cases. But yeah, I definitely do plan on doing some more 3D printing videos. I have a CR10S, a CR10 Mini, which is now converted to a CR10S Mini. I put all automatic bed leveling on everything. And I have a Prusa Mark III. So they're all pretty much modded to the point where I almost don't even have to touch them. I can just hit, you know, print on them, and they just go. Wants to run for Pope. He wants our vote. I don't know. His early stuff was okay, but just after I like watching his stuff, you know, here and there, it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, I think his head just got too big. I mean, I don't understand. It's like you fix the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, and people still come back to watch it. I mean, I don't get it from my point of view. I get it for other people. I mean, just don't understand. But to me, it seems like I don't even like doing things over twice on my channel. It's like, even though I've fixed like 7 MRV 1507s, it's like I feel like I don't want to do them, you know, on video anymore because they're just repetitive. But I don't know, maybe people watch them. I just don't know the other side of it, you know, from coming from someone that doesn't watch it. I mean, doesn't, never repaired one. Tries to be too much of a life coach role model type. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want him as a role model. I don't like talking shit about anybody, but I don't know. To each his own, I guess. Me personally, it's just like I look at him and I was like, I know more than this guy, but he knows Apple really well. That's it. It's, I like to throw an amplifier in front of him, and he'd probably be like, "What the hell's this thing?" I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely trying to fight for repair rights, and I dig that. but I don't think he's going to get very far. There's way too many powerful, way more powerful people to the. You might be able to get your foot in the door, but I don't think you're gonna burst it open. Not in this day and age. Once you let something happen, it's almost impossible to go backwards now. It just seems that way. It's like the new norm. Yeah, I know. We all wish that too, but I don't think you're gonna see it. Maybe if it does happen, it's going to happen on the high ups. It's going to be with automobiles. It's going to be all that crap. It's not going to be consumer electronics. It's never going to trickle down that far. And if it does, I'd be surprised. If you can't buy the schematic from the manufacturer, then you're not getting it. Or if you can't find a leaked version of it online somewhere. Because all that stuff online has either been scanned from somebody that bought the thing, or it's leaked. And a lot of the designs are actually, stolen from other manufacturers, and it's probably why they don't like posting their schematics either, because they probably would get copyrighted themselves from manufacturing an amp with very similar designs of the other amplifiers. So they're all in cahoots with each other, and they're all stealing each other's shit. Chinese stuff have schematics? Yeah. Hit or miss. You never know. Oh my god, I just don't understand repairing the phones. I know it's like I'm not paying somebody half the price of the phone to repair it. I've seen, I know, it's like I know what it takes to do it, and I know how it's like. It's probably gonna work for a little while, and then it's just they don't know exactly what's going on. They're kind of playing games with that. I don't know. Phones are tough. Motherboards are tough. I mean, you got a cell phone with like multiple layer circuit boards, and I don't know, water damage. I don't know. You're praying that what are these warranties you're getting? What are they, like 3 months or a month or something like that? That's not worth $300 to me. If that's how much it costs to repair, like water damage or something, it's just $300. That's $300 I can put towards a new phone, and I hate to say that too. And, if it's for data recovery, that's just your own damn fault. You should have some backup in place. If you got stuff in your phone that would, you couldn't live without tomorrow if it failed, that's on you. Totally on you for being a lazy ass. Yeah, I've seen a few amps that was like identical inside, different cases and everything. The boards were the same. They all share. Well, they call it sharing. I don't know if they're stealing from each other. But the designs are very similar. I've seen circuits in just a few different amps, and like, this looks exactly like what this amp did. And it's like, wow, they totally lifted that circuit. people will pay. You know, if people are like stretching the buck, and depending on how much like an Xbox, what can you get an Xbox for nowadays? $200-300. You gotta pay someone what, $150 to like change a BGA or something on it? No, I'm just gonna go buy a new Xbox with more memory or whatnot. And see, that's it's programmed in our heads now to just buy new because it's just almost not worth it. But when it comes to like amplifiers and stuff like that, that's now we're talking different stuff. I mean, now you're going from cheap disposable stuff to something that's worth repairing, worth putting the money into. Even though they charge you an arm and a leg for this stuff, like Apple and and Xboxes and stuff, it's through the roof. But they price it at a point, like the Xboxes, they price it at a point that it's not worth to repair it. They're getting there with TVs too. TVs are almost disposable. Unless you're fixing it for yourself. I mean, you can buy a TV now for a 46-inch for a few $100, 50-inch, 65-inch for a few $300-400. I'm not going to pay somebody $200 to fix it. I mean, that's why I like doing the stuff myself. And that's why I've seen all the mom and pop electronic repair places close. Even the one I worked at years ago has, fizzled off into the stars. Just wasn't economical anymore to have a business. What should I look for on a silent subwoofer amp? I'm not quite understanding that question. The amps are actually off the shelf products they buy in China. Yeah. Sometimes a lot of the Chinese are clones of old amplifiers. So you'll who was it? Was it Pyramid? I think Pyramid was notorious for like grabbing designs. I can't remember. Maybe it was Pyramid. Or were they doing power supplies? I think they had a few amplifiers back in the day. Hello, Cliff. No, Palmy Guys channel? No, I don't think I have. Yeah, cracked panels. You're gonna buy a new TV. Even if you can find the panel nowadays, it's gonna cost you probably over probably about half of the TV's worth. Maybe you'd be lucky if it's a third. Brandon, I'm not sure. I've been following the amplifier market all that much, the new stuff. It's just, it changes so rapidly. I always stated, I'm not a big Class C fan. I like Class AB. It's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more power hungry, but I don't know, the Class D stuff doesn't do it for me. I know it's a little bit more energy efficient, but it's not as clean. Unless it's done right. That's why they're mostly always subwoofer amps, because they know they can hide their dirty shit. and they're cheap too. You can buy like a 400 watt amp, Class D for a couple $100. When a Class AB version of that was like several $100s. Yeah, Pyramid. Maybe it's Pyramid, Phoenix Gold, AudioVox. Yeah, exactly. Profile amps. I've had a couple of those with the red LED, the California ones, the white ones. Those things were pieces of shit. They were big pieces of junk. Oh, you know what though? As hard as I pushed them, I never blew one. But they just did not deliver. They were way overrated amplifiers. Profile. Oh, what garbage. Yeah, caps is always the Achilles heel. Capacitors are 90% of repairing things. Once they get to a technology where they can make a dry cap with high values cheaply, you're going to see a lot more dependable devices. That's a nice model. Cheap and decent. Renegades. Sounds familiar. AB. Yeah, like I was saying, the Class D, they make power for $1 for watt. They are good, but then I don't know. It's just me. I think they're a little dirty. I think they're just, like I said, if they're done right, which they're going to cost more money, but if you're buying like cheapo ones, you'll probably be replacing it because of burnt fets or something. I mean, I've seen them. They're not very well made. Some of the lower ends. But that's how they can push them. They got the power. They got the, they're less power hungry. And if you use them for a subwoofer, it hides the dirt. So that's why they're always mostly subwoofer amplifiers. Let's see, subwoofer amp. Maybe the speaker's blown. I have an older earthquake amp. Yeah. Some of the older stuff was really good. EEV blog member? Like what, of their forum? I think I'm a member on their forum as well. I like to poke around it every once in a while. Capacitors? I don't know if they have a shelf life, but environmental factors can change, how long they could live. I would guess, cold weather, hot weather, humid, dry, there's no they're not like batteries where they're stated like 5 years out they're good for. I mean, there's capacitors in TVs that are still working from the 80s. Repair a guitar amp? Yes, I have. Not some of the older tube stuff, but some of the newer solid state. I don't get into tube now. It's not. I don't really have a lot of patience for older tube stuff anymore. Just trying to catch up on the chat. Apologize. I can't talk and read at the same time. I'm not that talented. Yeah, older. You worked on older quad amps? No. Older caps and ESR issues. Like you're talking about the ones with the old power modules, the quad amps with the old power modules. They almost look like the STK outputs. Those are real old. You're talking 70s, aren't you? Old caps and ESR issues. Yeah, definitely. ESR definitely gets worse with age and heat, Yeah, I mean, tube stuff is, it's fairly straightforward. I don't know. I become a snob to it. I just don't want to get involved with it anymore. True. I fixed a catastrophic failure car amp that just ate about all the components, and these days the amp should not melt down anymore. Correct, but what you don't probably get is the installer is probably someone that didn't understand that the amplifiers may be rated for only 4 ohms bridged, and they put 2 ohm speakers on the amplifier. That is the most common thing. That's why they die. And a lot of the Class D stuff is a little bit more tolerant for the lower ohm ratings, and someone goes and buys a 90s or 2000s Class AB, and it's 4 ohms, and they go and whack that on there. Now they're pulling double the power out of that amplifier, and it's not rated for that, so it's not going to last long, and that's when the meltdown happens. So it's not always a catastrophic failure because of just a bad design. It's sometimes just user. But the protection circuits could be designed a little bit better. I will give you that. They should be catching these issues, but they're not putting that technology into a lot of these. They should be seeing the impedance load, or they should be testing the current and shutting these things down a little bit faster and a little bit more efficiently. Yeah, people, playing spaghetti mess in the back of their car, and they're just, wires flailing about, and things hit things, and people don't get it. Sparks happen. You could take out a whole amplifier with just a bad moment. Just a wire touching something somewhere could ruin your day. Yeah, that's kind of why I don't work on the tube stuff either. So you gotta be a lot more careful. I don't want to get killed. You know, like I was saying earlier, my vision's not all that great anymore. That's all I need. I mean, I'm not scared of high voltage stuff. It's just like I don't want to deal with it. I whacked by a few TVs a few times, and I'm like, man, I can't wait till these go away. They did. Yeah, I mean, even the like fixed until broken says even the best stuff goes down. It can be a manufacturer's defect, it can be a component defect, it could be user error, it can be all sorts of things. Or you might get lucky and it just might last for a very long time. Depends on how you take care of your amp and or your speakers. Sometimes people will run their nastiest speaker that's fallen apart on an amplifier too, that's has a voice coil burnt. Your amplifier's not going to like that too much. You're going to get some serious problems, driving that speaker, and it's going to want to pop that MOSFETs in the amplifier. It's not going to like it. Once the conformal coating on the voice coil starts scraping the magnet, you're on your own. You're gonna start losing amps. So you got to look out for the warning signs. That's a whole thing. That's 1507s did have issues. Like I said, their protection circuit wasn't fast enough. It wasn't polished, and they had a few weak points in some of the groundings, some spots. But the 1505s was a better amplifier, I believe. Some would dispute that with me, but I've had less failures with 1505s. Same exact ratings. They just came out the 1507 as kind of just a new generation, even though it was basically the same amplifier. Very, very similar. Same power rating. Although the boards were different, they weren't part for part of schematic. They weren't identical, but they were basically, I think the 1507 was tried to polish up the 1505, and I think they kind of failed in a few aspects. But if you babied the 1507s, and you did what you were supposed to do, they did live a long time. I don't know if it was a cost-cutting thing or just not a very good design, or just I'm not sure what their. I know the issues with the amplifier, but I just don't know why they. Hindsight's 2020. They can't foresee it because they think what they're doing is correct. The engineer at the time was designing them, so they didn't know until problems were arising. And I've seen a lot of amplifiers. They never changed any of the boards. They're exactly the same. The prints were always the same. Nothing got updated throughout the years of its conception. So I think they just ran with it. Because amplifiers, they only have a certain amount of time that they run them for, and then that's it. They get replaced by something else. Especially Alpine. I think what was there every year or every 3 years or something. It's like they're changing their whole lineup. I don't know if it's still that way. I don't think the 1507 ever changed. I think it's always been the same. Like I said, I've been in a lot of them, and they're all the same. I don't think I've ever seen an updated board or a rev number. I think they've been all the same. Well, all right, guys. It's a 11:15 here. I gotta get to bed, but it's good chatting with you guys. It's been fun. I think we'll definitely call it a night. Oh, I love 1505s. I had a couple of them. I think I got one left. I had two at one point, but I must have bought and sold a bunch of 1505s and 07s over the years. It's just been crazy. All right, so where did you get that cool TV? I got this at Micro Center like several years back. You can probably still buy them. I don't know if from Micro Center, but they definitely sell. They definitely probably sell them on Amazon or something. But all right, guys. Probably we'll see you soon. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Well, hopefully we'll be back with some more videos soon. Just gotta find the time. So let's check the chat once again. All right, yeah, we'll do it again soon. Have a good night. Bye, guys.